Hi, welcome to the Upside, the show here in Long Meadow. We talk about all the good things that are going on. Today, we're going to go into a much bigger realm than just Long Meadow. I have the privilege and honor of interviewing someone who I met through business, but who's become a friend, former NFL Hall of Fame quarterback, and probably even better as a businessman, Fran Tarkenton. Fran, welcome to the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. Good to be with you.
If you guys have ever heard Fran, he loves to talk about all things, not just sports, but politics. And we're going to hit a bunch of different things today that I have some questions on. The first question I want to ask you is that you have some businesses that you currently run right now. One of them is how we work with through Tarkenton Financial. But one of them is GoSmallBiz.com, and people can go look that up, and you help entrepreneurs. And what I wanted to ask you is, when you made the shift out of the NFL, what drove you into the business world and becoming an entrepreneur yourself as opposed to the corporate world and that type of thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Paul, like many of your listeners, I worked I had a paper route when I was 7 years old in Washington, D.C., in the inner city. Had a paper route for 4 years, and I've always worked. I had a great family, and my father was a preacher man, didn't make much money back then, so my older brother and I, we always worked, and we enjoyed working. We enjoyed doing something that somebody would pay us money for. When I went to pro football, even in college, I'll go back to college. In college, I had a football scholarship at the University of Georgia, and I played, but I also was majoring in insurance, and I started selling Franklin Life Insurance, the President's Passbook investment plan, and I made I made enough money in college selling insurance to buy a new Thunderbird in 1960. Of course, they all thought I'd been paid off by the school. That's not true. I went and played football, and Minnesota was drafted by the Vikings in 1961. I made $12,500. I worked in the offseason. I worked for a trucking company, and I made speeches, and so I was doing business all my life. I always, in 18 years of playing football, Paul, I worked in the off seasons, and I started building businesses when I was 25 years old. Never once did I not make more money in my businesses than I made in playing football.
Wow.
And so as I retire, I was prepared for retirement. I didn't have to. Peyton Manning now is trying to figure out what he's going to do.
Yep.
I didn't have to figure it out. I was already building businesses, and I love that. And at 76 today, I'm still actively doing that because I believe in America. I believe in entrepreneurship. I know that the engine that really stirs this economy is startups in this country, which I work with. There are 520,000 new businesses started every month in America. And as you mentioned, Go Small Biz, the business that I started 20 years ago, we're kind of one-stop shopping for that small business entrepreneur. One place that they could go all the way from getting incorporated properly and going and getting business mentoring online, and then one-stop shopping, access to business insurance, access to business loans, and where it's hard for a small business to go to a bank and get loans. And so we work with just literally millions of small businesses all over the world, and trying to give them knowledge, education, tools, and products that help them have a better chance of making their business work. And if they make their business work, that's the biggest impact on jobs in this country is small business. And you don't hear much talked about in the political realm because they don't have the big money of Wall Street to fuel both parties.
Yeah.
So we work with those people because I just think that's, again, the lifeblood of America.
Okay, great. And I want to just tell the viewers, I forgot to mention this, is that Fran is joining us via Skype from Tarkenton's headquarters down in Atlanta. So it's not the studio, it's just we're over the internet. One of the questions I have based on what you just said is that when you retired, you owned every offensive passing record that a quarterback could hold, or offensive record a quarterback could hold. Did you find it tough for people to take you seriously in the business side of it, being coming out of the NFL?
That's a good question, Paul. Yes, that's true, because they wanted me to talk football to them, and I love to talk football to them. And I would walk into, in some of the off seasons, I worked for big companies like Coca-Cola, like IBM, and I would, and everybody, their customers would like to meet me because I was an NFL football player and I had some degree of success. And I did all the records that Peyton Manning has just completed breaking. I held all those records.
Yep.
My records held for, I beat Johnny Unitas' records. Most pass attempts, most yards, game passing, so forth, touchdown passes. And my records held for 17 years. And then they fell to Dan Marino, and then it goes down eventually to Brett Favre, and then to Peyton.
Yep.
But they did. I had to earn their respect. I had to play even better than others needed to do, because there was a prejudice against me. I was a football player. What did I know about business?
Right.
I didn't have experience in business, but I did have experience. But they didn't know I had experience, and so those are barriers I just enjoy taking on, quite frankly, and turning those thoughts around. And but at the end of the day, in business, you build your credibility by telling the truth.
Yep.
You build your credibility by being transparent, having respect for all people. And I think when you do that and you are transparent, that credibility comes through, and people want to do business with the people they can trust.
Yeah. Okay, great. Now, I've searched on YouTube, and I know a lot of people can do that nowadays, and there's some great video of you running around on a football field, making all these big defensive linemen fall and miss and whatever. And the game has changed dramatically since then, right? Because I have a replica of the helmet you played with in my office that you signed for me.
Yeah.
And inside of it, there's no pad, and there's like a netting inside of it. And today, my son played high school football, and those helmets were like, wrapped around the head and very protective. And the rules changed. How do you feel about the rule changes in the NFL regarding quarterbacks and things like that?
It's changed, but it hasn't changed. Same field.
Yep.
Same football. Equipment's a little different. And maybe the helmet they have today, Paul, is big. It's just it's a weapon.
Yep.
And I think it's more dangerous with that helmet than the helmet that I wore. We didn't have near as many concussions when I played as they have today.
Yep.
But people are using that helmet now as a weapon, and they're leading with their head, which they're now, penalized when they do that. But the game itself, back when we played, the biggest rule change they had was the year after I retired in '78. They wanted more scoring in the game, and before that, you could hit a receiver all the way down the field till the ball was thrown.
Yeah.
Today, they changed that rule. You can only hit a receiver in the first 5 yards, and you got to let him run. That opened up the game and let the fast receivers get open and have a field day running the width of the field and getting some get downfield easier. And so it changed it from a balanced game of run and pass to now it's a passing game. Very little running, and you win with passing, and that's why we're seeing. To give you an idea, my record's held for 17 years. Let's talk the yards passing. I gained 47,003 yards in my 18 years.
Yep.
Peyton Manning in 19 years is 73,000 yards or so.
Yep.
So that shows you how that changed. But the basic fundamentals of winning football is the same, and that is you've got to play defense first. The games are won up in the trenches with the offense and defensive line. You've got to have a great team. Teams win, individuals don't. The culture of that locker room is critically important. If it's a culture of love and respect, as we've talked about, you have a chance. If you've got one toxic person in there who is not a team guy, who's a disruptive guy, it just poisons the entire locker room, and you cannot win.
Yeah.
If you've got, I've talked to so many head coaches, and Pete Carroll's a good friend of mine, and of course he was a Patriots head coach for a year or two, and now he's great success in Seattle. And we were talking a couple of years ago, and we both agreed that if you've got 40 all-pro football players in your locker room, and you don't have a culture of love in that locker room, you can't win.
Yeah.
You got to have that culture of respect and love for each other, and understanding that it's all of us are important. The 40th man on the roster to Tom Brady, and that's how successful football team stay successful.
Yeah. So you mentioned it, you brought it up slightly, the concussion issue in the NFL. That's a big deal going on right now. I think I saw a headline last week about the potential settlement and stuff. When you were playing, I mean, guys had to have concussions. Everybody gets dinged every now and then, I would imagine, right? Is it just because of the equipment, you think, or is it really just because it's treated differently?
Here's the thing with the concussions. Well, the game is, the players are bigger, faster, stronger today. Yep. Speed is more today. They are working out more, and as we all know the story of Lance Armstrong. If you all saw the movie of Lance Armstrong, you saw that he was able to win 7 Tour de France and break all those records because he was doping, juicing, very sophisticated stuff. And that's happened in all the sports across the board. Baseball, we've seen it with people hitting 70-plus home runs, and today they only hit 40-plus home runs. Yep. That same doping as we're seeing a tennis player, Sharapova, this Russian, she got banned. The Russian Olympic team got their hands slapped, and it's all over, and it's in football. And it's dangerous because these guys are putting 40, 50 pounds of muscle on top of their bodies, and it's really causing, I think, the severity of the concussions and the injuries that we're having today. And in football, we have not addressed that. We don't test really for performance-enhancing drugs. Yep. And I think that's a big gap in what football should be doing. For years, the NFL, with their doctors, said, "Well, concussions weren't a result from football. It wasn't from the contact of football." And we found out now, they even admitted, research has told us it does. Yep. Now, in concussions, in my era, I was concussed. I got knocked out twice knowingly. But what happened, if you go through the protocol and you don't play and don't get hit again while you have the concussion, you will recover and you're fine. You're not going to have any problems going forward. Yep. The problem is if they put you back in the game before that's healed, right, which might take 5 days, 6 days, a week, 2 weeks. If they don't put you in the game and you're healed and you have another concussion, you're okay. Yeah. Now they're going to those protocols now, but still the violence of the game is more than we've ever seen for all the reasons I've said. Now we're seeing football players that are in their 20s or 30 years old retiring. Calvin Johnson is retiring at 30 years old. Oh. B.J. Rod, the big nose tackle for the Green Bay Packers, who's about 340 pounds. He's 28 years old. He's going to not play this year. You say, I might play again, but not now. No. We've never seen that. We're seeing less people play kids football. Right. And it's going to affect the high school numbers and the college numbers. And can you get football safe enough? I don't know. And we love to watch it. Yep. But the safety value is there, and now all parents and kids are aware of it, and they're scared of it, and they should be. Yeah, I think. I mean, it's real. It's definitely real. It's not something contrived by attorneys and stuff. Hey, one of the things I wanted to ask you is that what I've learned from you is that you like to learn from others, and one of the things, as I said, one of the YouTube videos that stuck out about you that I like to talk about is there's one of you hosting Saturday Night Live, okay? But what I want to bring it up for is that that was groundbreaking. You were the first athlete to host Saturday Night Live. So that's big. That's a pretty big deal. But more importantly, you really went out of your comfort zone. And there's a little bit of a story where you asked for some advice, and I just want to know if you could share that. Yeah. Well, I did the show Saturday Night Live. It was the second year I think that they had the show. We just lost a Super Bowl to Oakland, and I didn't even know what the show was. And so I went up there on a Thursday. I'm not an actor. I'm not a singer. Never couldn't act a bit. And I meet all these great talented people. I mean, Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi and Gilda Radner and Bill Murray and so forth. And I didn't know who they were, but they were talented. And we were going over skits and things that we were going to do Saturday Night Live. I had no clue. So I went and grabbed Bill Murray, who is, as we all know, is an enormous talent. And I said, Bill, you've got to help me. I am not an actor. I cannot be you, but just do the skits for me like you think they should be done. I learned from watching other people. I learned playing quarterback from watching other quarterbacks. I learned baseball, basketball from watching other baseball and basketball players. I can learn visually. And so what he did, he got the 4 or 5 skits I did, and he did them for me. Huh. And I watched him do them. It's the same script, but I watched his facial expressions and so forth, and I couldn't be Bill Murray. I think it's a big mistake for any of us try to be somebody else.
Yeah.
We got to be ourselves. We got to be our authentic selves. But I can learn I had a model of how it could be done by one of the great actors of all time, Bill Murray. And by doing that, I was able to pull it off. I was still Fran Tarkenton, but I had a knowledge base, a visual of how that should be. And amazingly, we got great reviews, and they still show that show that I did with those iconic actors and people. But yes, I was uncomfortable, and I made myself comfortable by asking for help.
Very good. All right, I want to turn to politics just for a little bit because we're about more than halfway through, but in the season of all the political realm we see out there's some issues facing our country, $19 trillion in debt. You know, there's huge underemployment, or however you want to call it or report it. We're not in this great economy. What do you see that's going on politically that is or isn't being addressed in this cycle that we're talking about right now?
I think that the silent majority has now become the loud majority. We're seeing more people come to rallies, both Democrat and Republican, than we've ever seen. We're seeing people that probably in the past years, Bernie Sanders. I mean, who would have thought Bernie Sanders could have raised any money? Bernie Sanders that could go against Hillary and be competitive. Yep. Nobody did. And I'm not telling or saying I like Bernie Sanders' politics or not liking him, or Hillary's or the Republicans. I'm not going to get into that thing, right. But he's a different kind of guy. And he's gotten traction. He's not going to get the nomination, but he's going to get traction. And then you get an outsider in Trump, who's this big personality and big blowhard and all the stuff. And all the establishment Republicans have tried to quiet him down and destroy him and beat him down. And he's easy to dislike. But by all the efforts they've done, I think they've helped him more than hurt him because he's drawn record crowds. He doesn't even have to spend money. He gets all the coverage on television that he wants. And so I think I believe in the people of America.
Yep.
I believe in America. You say, well, you're a Republican, Democrat. I'm an American. I believe in all the people. I believe in taking the disenfranchised people and that cannot make it. Let's help them. Let's make sure that everybody has health care. If you're sick, you need to be able to have good doctors and hospitals, and we need to take care of it. And then we need to be able to understand the whole free market concept to being able to start your own business, no matter who you are, and have the freedom to think and go and do, and you don't have to come from wealth or a certain family or a certain education. You can go and live the American dream and make that possible and expand the horizon and make the tent bigger. I believe in all that. But I think we're in a revolution. I don't know what's going to happen down the road. But here's what I believe. I believe in the American people. I believe that I just want to encourage everybody to go out and vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote. You should vote for who you want to vote for. And be able to talk about it with your friends and neighbors and be able to disagree.
Yep.
because we need everybody to be involved in this process. This is America. This is what makes us different from the rest of the world.
Yep.
We're a democracy, and go out and make your vote count, and listen and learn and talk and be able to get angry.
Yeah.
As I was today reading about Arnold Palmer, who I know very well, is 86 years old, and this year he's not going to hit the first tee ball at the Masters. He and Nicklaus and Player have been doing this for years, but he's 86. He just doesn't feel like doing it. He's not even doing interviews at his golf tournament that's going to be down in Orlando at his golf course this week. But I think of him. This man has been an icon, a role model for all of us, not just sports people, but fans. He has lived his life with great dignity, kindness, respect, been great for golf, been great for sport, been great for business. He's a great businessman, but been great for everybody. I've never known him not to treat everybody with great respect, and that's what we need to look at. Let's be able to differ without having to yell and scream at one another.
Yeah.
Let's be able to tell the other person that you're un-American or you're a bad person because you don't think like I do. Arnold Palmer's a great role model for all of that, and he's a strong guy too. But he is a compassionate, wonderful person that is a good role model for all of us. And I would like for our candidates to take a look at Arnold Palmer and look back at how he's lived his life and how he has always treated everybody with respect. He has been a great American because he's lived a life of goodness and understanding and kindness and humility with all of his greatness. And but I think this is an interesting political time, and all of you ought to be sure you get involved in it, because I think it's a revolution, and I think all of us, Democrats and Republicans, conservatives and liberals, are fed up with politics in Washington and big money that controls politics, and saying, we're tired of this. We want people to get things done, and that hasn't happened.
Okay.
And so I think it's going to be interesting to watch.
Thank you for that. And I have another question I have is, you've gotten to meet some really amazing people in the business world, and you have some letters outside of your office. And I read Sam Walton's autobiography, and I couldn't put it down when I read it, because it wasn't like this great Hollywood movie kind of thing, but what he was talking about and how he did his business and what he did to make his stores work was just an absolutely phenomenal story. And you've met him and you did work with him and so forth. What did you find with Sam Walton?
Well, I have all my life reached out to the best quarterbacks that played football, great coaches that coach football, from Lombardi and Tom Landry and Bud Grant and Don Shula and so forth. I've reached out to the best business people, many of them that you don't know, your listeners don't know well, but Sam Walton was one of those people. I learned so much from him. Bernie Marcus, who started Home Depot, was another great mentor of mine. And but Sam Walton, it was all about the people. It was all about his customer. He didn't call his employees, he called them associates. He transformed how we thought about the employees of industrial America. People will not Walmart because of their wage deals, and I understand that. But Sam Walton built this magnificent company. He created more jobs in the world than any other company or government created. He was an icon, and I did learn from him. And I rode around the country in his pickup truck as we opened up Walmart stores, and I asked him questions after questions after questions. Bernie Marcus, who started Home Depot from nothing, and he started like Mr. Sam was about 48, 50 years old when he started Walmart. Bernie was probably a similar age when he started Home Depot. He lived in tenement housing in New Jersey. He was a member of gangs in New Jersey. He came from no money, and he went out and built Home Depot. And now Bernie is still living, unfortunately, Mr. Sam. He's 86 years old. you learn from these people. But you cannot learn from these people if you don't read what they say or ask them questions or listen to them. The only way to learn is to ask questions, to be curious. When we think we have all the answers, we're not going to learn anything.
Right.
But I don't have all the answers, and nobody has all the answers. Everything that I am and everything that I've learned is from somebody else. I don't think any of us have an original thought. I've learned from what I see, what I hear, what I read. So it's important that we don't close ourselves off, because we limit ourselves. I read the New York Times cover to cover. It's a liberal newspaper. I want to see what these great writers, they're great writers. If they're liberal, they're liberal. I read the Wall Street Journal cover to cover. They're great writers. They're more conservative, but they're bright people. I want to see both balances so I can make better decisions. If I'm close myself off to one way of thinking, I have a hard time improving. And so but Mr. Sam was a great mentor of mine. But Vince Lombardi was a great mentor of mine.
So I got a couple questions. We're getting close to our time here, but you and I worked together through Tarkenton Financial,
Yes.
which is a national marketing organization. What made you get into? And I know you said you sold life insurance while you're in college and so forth.
I did.
What made you start your own business in Tarkenton Financial?
Well, that's a good question, Bo. The reason is I think the mission of business is to help people. And he said, no, the mission of business is to make money. No, that's a byproduct. The mission of business is to help people. Then if you're going to help people, you got to go out and find products and services that are useful to people, that solve problems for people. And I think during the dot-com bust, I saw what was happening with people that were losing fortunes and losing so much money. My older brother, who's since deceased, a smart business guy, he asked me, he said, how you doing in the market? This is during the dot-com. I said, I'm not doing so well. I said, how you doing? He says, I'm doing fine. And he started educating me about insurance products that were alternative, that were safer products to the market. And I got looking at that. I said, that sounds really interesting. Didn't know about it. Once I saw that there was some products that made some sense in retirement income planning. I didn't even think about retirement income planning. And then I was, well into my senior years, and when I started this company, and I just felt like I wanted to go out and put together a lot of wonderful people that were in retirement income planning, and to educate seniors, not to sell seniors, but to educate people that are 50 and over, or some that are under 50 that want to start their planning earlier, about there are alternatives. But the important thing, they need to have a plan to ensure they don't run out of money in their retirement years. And I've always believed an idiot with a plan will always be a genius with no plan. And so our mission is to go out and help people and show them all their alternatives and help them have the education and the knowledge so that they can make better decisions. I don't want to tell anybody what they should do. I don't tell anybody how they should vote in this election, or whether they should buy our products or somebody else's products. We go out and we educate, answer questions, and empower the consumer to buy what's best for their family.
And with the markets, what I'm seeing today as I'm talking to people is people are really afraid. They're worried entering retirement. I'm seeing people with more money than ever. They're not retiring. The baby boomers aren't retiring like their grandparents did, living on Social Security and a pension.
Sure.
And they're afraid. What do you think about the markets and how they're, we have some European countries going negative interest rates at this point?
Well, I understand. But here's the deal. We've got to, we want to have safe and secure money management in our senior years. The market we have the greatest market in the world, but the market's going to always be volatile. It's going to always go up, and it's always going to go down. Yep. And there's always going to be a risk in the marketplace. And for many seniors, they don't need to be taking that risk. They need to be in safer products that will give them income that they can depend on and then they can budget around that. For a senior that's retired or about in a retirement to be able to get caught in a dot-com bust or a banking collapse and the stock prices go down of what we thought were the safest companies, probably not a good idea. And most people want to sleep well at night all their life, but especially in their retirement years. And I think it's important that we show them that there are alternatives to the market as they get into their senior years and they retire out their retirement areas, where they can have certainty of what they're going to have going forward. And I think seniors want certainty, not risk.
Okay. And we have about a couple minutes left. I just wanted to, and I should have asked you this earlier. Does Johnny Manziel have a opportunity to play again in the NFL?
I don't think he does.
Yeah.
And I say that, and sadly, the young man had great talent.
Yep.
But he is continuing to make mistakes upon mistakes and he hasn't learned from one mistake to the other. He's been messing around with alcohol and drugs that impair him. He hasn't acted responsibly. He didn't work at his craft at Cleveland. He just didn't put in the work that you need to put in. And he's not been a good teammate. And I hope he straightens out his life. But right now he's a mess. I don't think anybody will take a chance on Johnny Manziel. And I hope that he can get help and change his life around. I hope and pray that he can do that. But today he hasn't.
Yeah. And that's why, like I said, I should have asked you earlier because I figured it'd be a short answer. I want to thank you for coming on the show. And I got to tell folks that I've had the opportunity to go down to Fran's office in Atlanta on more than one occasion. And the energy that's in your office is just absolutely phenomenal in terms of the folks you have working there. And I know one of your routines is to go around that office every day and talk to people. And if you don't believe me, go on Facebook. You can like Fran on Facebook and you'll see the videos that he and his staff put out on a daily basis, and they have a whole range of topics they discuss. Some of them are football, some of them are sports, some of them are politics, that type of thing. But it's really something that I think if you go to Facebook, you can like Fran Tarkenton on there. But I do want to thank you for coming on the show. I learn a lot from you, from listening to you, because just like you listen to others, you have a depth of experience that I think is just absolutely phenomenal.
Well, Paul, thank you. I so enjoy working with you, and to all your listeners, Paul is a great professional and the highest ethics and knowledge. And Paul, it's always a pleasure visiting with you today and being with you when you visit us down here. And thanks so much for letting me join you and your people for these few minutes.
Thank you, Fran. And folks, thank you for watching The Upside. We'll see you on the next show. Have a great day. Thank you again.